Hello and welcome to Sportsballin, your home for all things sports. I'm your host, Jace Vincent, and today joined alongside Connor Smith. And for the first time in the studio, Drew Williams is not being the producer, rather he's the talent. And Drew, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great today. I know ball, so I'm ready to get into this show.
Absolutely. All right, well, before we kick things off for the final episode of the season, we are going to have a brief moment of silence for our buddy Ethan Markham, who is out with mono. So, Ethan, praying for you, buddy. All right, we're going to get in the show now. All right, Ethan, we're praying for you, but now. So the NFL draft has come and gone, and now it's time to really react to the draft, and we're going to reacting. Guys, who do you think had the best draft? Who do you think had the worst draft? What was your all's take?
You know, I'm going to go with the New York Giants. I said the same thing last year. They had a strong draft last season, and they did the same right here. You get Arvell Reese at the 5th pick. Some people don't like it, but still, he's a consensus top 4, top 3 talent. You got it, pick 5. Then you go on and get Francis Maui Noah in the late first round. I say late first round. It was the 12th pick. But overall, they got some really good guys for the future, some good rotational pieces, and 2 guys that will start next season.
Well, absolutely. And Drew, you got any?
Yeah, I can agree with the Giants having a really good draft. I was personally not as high on Arvell Reese as others were. I think he's more of an off-ball guy than an edge. But I still think getting Francis Maui Noah there at 11, great value along with the rest of their draft. But I also really like the Cleveland Browns draft. Getting Spencer Fano at 9, trading back with the Chiefs, I thought they got good value out of that trade. And getting Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, I mean, that's great value.
No, I agree 100%, and I think that the value in those skill position players has paid off for those certain franchises at the top, and we'll talk more into it, especially with the Titans when it comes up. But for teams, I think the only one that I really didn't love was the Rams obviously taking Ty Simpson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like him as a prospect, just as an overall prospect, what he brings to the table. Not really experienced, but he reads the field at an elite level, good arm talent. It really just didn't make sense a whole lot. Like I said, prospect's really good, but you have, 2 more seasons left of Matthew Stafford. Why not go out there, get him a weapon, or get someone on the defensive side of the ball that can help them win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, this is an Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love type situation where team goes out and drafts their quarterback of the future while they're in a window to win a Super Bowl, and it doesn't work out. So I'm really confused on this Rams pick. I think Mekhi Lemon would have been an infinitely better pick there. Help out Matthew Stafford, just get that offense even more superpowered. But they go Ty Simpson instead.
No, I agree really there with what you're going as well. Is I think that you can have those guys when you have you have one of their best receivers who's about 35 years old, and you have Puka Nacua who's had the off-field issues. Now I will tell you, someone who I did love was Jeremiah Love, that didn't fall to the Titans that we thought we would fall to the Titans, but instead he goes to Arizona, where that talk started really to more kick in the last week with Arizona.
Yeah, I'm really glad they went Jeremiah Love at 3. I'm a big believer that positional value should not exist. If you like a guy and you think he's the best player, go take him. Same thing with Caleb Downs. He fell to 11 for the positional value of a safety, but at the same time, he's a generational prospect, best prospect in this draft. So again, I really love when guys just see the player that they want and just say, you know what, screw what everyone else thinks. I'm gonna get my guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jeremiah Love became the highest paid running back in terms of guaranteed money, so it's a little bit scary there.
For a rookie.
But I think Jeremiah Love is a fantastic player. Although the Cardinals going Carson Beck there in the 3rd round was not a great option in my opinion.
See, I honestly, and Mike LaFleur talked on it really after, where he said he loved the measurables and the builds in Carson Beck. And I mean, you can build a guy like that, but there's also a moment where you could probably have to play him sooner than you'd rather, because the Cardinals QB room is really bad right now.
We've got Jacoby Brissett, who's on a holdout right now, and Gardner Minshew, who is a torn ACL.
First off, I just want to say, who does Jacoby Brissett thinks he is holding out? That's wild.
He set the highest completion percentage in a game last season in the NFL. So there is that. But yeah, Jacoby Brissett, not necessarily a good player.
No.
Yeah, and to really recap on the rest of the teams, I think someone that really did have one of the better drafts out of everyone was really the Jets, and we'll have to see if they can build that younger talent moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the David Bailey pick. I've been one that says that he's a designated pass rusher, which those guys should not go top 10. But then you get Omar Cooper Jr., and then you get some other guys in there that –
Kenyon Sadiq.
Yes, one of the freakiest, in a good way, tight ends. He's built like he built like a tight end, but has the speed, athleticism as a receiver. Really just Superman of a prospects. You get him, you get Omar Cooper Jr., and then they filled out the rest of the draft really well. So the David Bailey pick will get some hate, but at the same time, it was really good overall.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd say that my probably least favorite draft in this class, though, was the Jaguars. by far and away the worst class that maybe I've ever seen in my life before. They went Nate Bedeker in the second round. He had 400 yards in his 5-year career.
Well, the Tennessee Titans selected Carnell Tate from Ohio State with the 4th overall pick, Tate being the highest drafted receiver by the Tennessee Titans in the Super Bowl era. Guys, can Carnell Tate really be the next in line of those great Ohio State wide receivers that have played at the professional level?
I think he can. You know, at first I wasn't a fan of the picks because for the last 2 weeks it feels like we've been talking about Jeremiah Love, David Bailey, even Ruben Bain in there, and you get not really a stunner. Kind of surprising though with Carnell Tate, but once again, he's the best receiver in this class. Really good player, really productive at Ohio State. I think he brings that edge that Tennessee needs right now. You know, you get him out there with Calvin Ridley, Elick, and then the rest of that gang.
Yeah, I love Carnell Tate. I've been a Carnell Tate fan since November. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. He's obviously not a Jeremiah Smith or a Marvin Harrison Jr. type of prospect, but in a class that is as bad as the 2026 class is probably going to end up being, Carnell Tate could end up being one of the best players from the first round, even if he's an average player at best. So I absolutely love the Carnell Tate pick, especially with Jeremiah Love being off the board. He's the best offensive player in the class at that point.
No, 100%. I love the addition to go along with Cam Ward that they have there and having a guy. Now, see, what I don't understand is the hate from these people that say that Carnell Tate's not a wide receiver one, and it's because we have Jeremiah Smith, excuse me, in the room. I almost got to Jeremiah Love, but so would almost a third of the NFL, really, I would say, and he's not. And he's been NFL.
You want
ready
to know
since he came
an interesting statistic about those two?
What's that? I do.
Carnell Tate had 7 less yards per game in the regular season than Jeremiah Smith. Now, that's not a Jeremiah Smith knock. Jeremiah Smith's an incredible prospect. Carnell Tate's a lot better than people are giving him credit for.
No, yeah, he kind of falls under the radar, especially with how loaded Ohio State's receiver room has been the last couple years. He's a guy that I don't know if he can step in this year and do it, but he's definitely a guy that has the potential to be a 1,000-yard receiver most years in his career.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, where would y'all rank him in terms of the wide receivers that have gone from Ohio State in the past couple years?
Ooh.
Personally, I'd have him on the same level as Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe, I think he's higher than Chris Olave, probably higher than Garrett Williams in my opinion, but right around JSN is where I'd have him.
As a pure prospect, probably 4 or 5, but Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of falling off, drops him down a bit. I'd go probably 4 for Carnell Tate. You've got the obvious choices with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Jeremiah Smith to be drafted next year. But, I mean, again, he's a really good player. He was a borderline All-American at Ohio State, and he'll be really good for the Titans.
Absolutely.
Well, on the other side of this, we'll have Tennessee baseball and spring practice and a lot more on the other side of this.
There's only one thing that will save somebody's life, and that is naloxone nasal spray. Get 911 on the phone, get the emergency responses there on their way.
Well, Tennessee took a series victory over the then number 13 Alabama Crimson Tide and outscored them 21-4 over the weekend on that Saturday doubleheader. Guys, can Tennessee take this as momentum to build over the weekend with 3 series left to go in conference play?
I think they absolutely can. I mean, obviously you have to actually build on it. They've done this in the past where they beat Mississippi State or they had a good victory and then they kind of lulled back. But beating Alabama, who, like you said, was the number 13 team in the country, not even just beating them but dominating them, really impressive. I mean, Bama won the first game on Thursday, and then Tennessee goes on to outscore them 21-4 in one day because they did play a doubleheader. The big thing about this that sticks out to me for Tennessee is the offense. It's not been bad, but it hasn't necessarily been great this season. They came out and showed this weekend, or rather later in the week because it was Thursday through Friday, the offense that we thought we would see from them head into the season. I mean, from top to bottom, they're lethal on paper, and they showed that they were a dangerous team.
Yeah, and I think part of it was, I think also the pitching. They got Tegan Kuntz to go a full 8 innings in the first part of that doubleheader where he went a complete game and that run will win. And then you got Evan Blanco in game 3 who is able to go 6 innings as well and toss 9 strikeouts. So the pitching has really stepped up for Tennessee in that aspect, and it's been a big part of how they've been able to win games.
Even if it's a little bit late for them to make a late season push, I still think that even if they carry this momentum of winning games here at the end of the season into next season, then that's extremely worth it for that team.
And I think that's really the part of where Tennessee fans are settling, is where you're happy with making the tournament and you think that a team that's been there for a while can make a run in the postseason potentially, depending on where they go in a regional.
Yeah, I mean, they're a young team, but still you got your veterans on the roster that, like you said, can make a deep run. But as Drew kind of talked about with building momentum for next season, you're able to get some young guys some experience, extra at-bats, in whether it be the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament. So this is almost that year that we talked about last season, where it just came a year later, where maybe Tennessee's run at a national championship comes next year.
Spring practice has concluded for the Tennessee Vols, and it leaves a bunch of questions really desired, especially in the quarterback room. So, guys, what is really the floor and the ceiling for this Tennessee football team?
I really think this Tennessee football team the makeup at least is really similar to 2024, where you've got a loaded defense, a stable run game, good receiver room, but the quarterback will make or break it. Obviously, we don't know who's going to win that. It seems like it's down to Faison Brandon or George McIntyre. I don't really love either or. I love the upside of Faison. However, he's going to be a true freshman in the SEC, so we'll have to see. But, I mean, yeah, this is a team that you want to say the floor 8-4, but like the ceiling like a 10-2, maybe even an 11-1, because they do have some tough games at home this season.
Mm-hmm. I'd maybe go a little bit lower than that on their floor. I'd maybe go like 6 wins maybe. It really depends on that quarterback room, right? George McIntyre locally out of Brentwood Academy, but you're bringing either a redshirt freshman or a true freshman into the SEC. That doesn't work super often, so I'll be interested to see where they end up this season.
I agree where you said Tennessee's like the 2024 team, where I think it was more going into that team you expected more of those playoff pushes. Also, I think that the schedule is a lot tougher this season compared to where they were that year. I mean, you have games like Texas at home, you have Alabama at home again. You get the benefit of not having to play Georgia again or having the Florida monkey to deal with. So I do think that helps, but I think that it still will be tough. I think that they'll settle probably around an 8-4 like they did this past season.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see something like that, but at the same time, like you said, you get Texas and Alabama at home, and I don't know what it is about Neyland, but the Volunteers have some kind of like witchcraft that they don't lose games there, except for Oklahoma this past season, which was their first home loss in a while. But 8-4 is probably realistic, but at the same time, if you get just good enough QB play, that's a team that we push in for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on the other side of this, we'll have our hot takes and a little something special for you guys.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father.
Crippling depression, anxiety, exhaustion.
I was in prison and her mom had a heart attack.
There's a lot of institutional issues and challenges that suggest to us that dads aren't essential, and I've always rejected that.
Sometimes you don't have to know everything about being a dad. You just gotta be there.
It's now time for our hot takes, and Drew, what do you got for us?
Personally, I think the Tennessee Titans will be playoff contenders by the year 2027. Cam Ward will be in year 3. He'll hopefully have developed the whole way through. That'll be year 2 of Robert Saleh as the head coach. Hopefully Brian Dable is still there. Guys, I think that this team has potential. They have another good draft, another good offseason to be a true playoff contender and win the AFC South next year in 2027.
I'm with this all the way. Honestly, might be a bit of a hot take itself. I think they can push for the playoffs this year with what they have. Now, obviously a lot of young guys, a lot of rookies that are taking that next step into their second year, but if you get some, not really bounce back, but just guys, like I said, taking that next step, along with some of the guys that they traded for with the Jermaine Johnson, those guys stepping in, They can push for the playoffs next year, but definitely by Cam Ward's 3rd season and then another draft in there, I buy this all the way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this year's a building block for next year for Tennessee, and I think that if they can get some good pieces in the offensive line, they can go there. But Connor, go with you.
I'm going to say that Jermod McCoy will be the biggest steal in this NFL draft. I understand the whole ACL thing and how teams want him to get a second surgery, but when he's healthy, Jermod McCoy is without a doubt the best cornerback prospect in this past draft, probably a top 10 prospect overall. In his sophomore season when he was healthy, he was an All-American, All-SEC selection, and a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. He can do it all, crazy athletic, has great ball skills, and has the size to play 8 to 10 years in the NFL minimum. He's just a guy that, I don't want to say he's a can't-miss prospect, but especially in a draft like this, he kind of is that can't-miss prospect, and he fell all the way down to the 4th round.
Yeah, personally, I would have had him above Mansour Delane on my board if I was drafting these guys, and he ended up going in the 4th round. It's a steal for the Raiders. However, the ACL is not really what's in question. Having torn my ACL myself, I know it's not a fun injury to have, but it's more about the bone plug that was put into the cartilage in his knee. That might need to be completely replaced because it was a botched surgery. If they need to replace that, that could be a career-ending surgery already.
Yeah, and I mean, I see the concerns there with him, but I feel like it's someone that, I mean, he had a good pro day. He didn't go to the combine, but he had a good pro day at Tennessee, and I think that he's still someone that you just don't pass on. I mean, you can get him for cheaper if you're Las Vegas than they did, but I think that he's still someone that'll still be plug and play when he's healthy for the Raiders.
No, 100%. You know, Drew just make a really good point about the botched surgery. That's a big thing, but at the same time, in a draft this bad, when you have a prospect of that level who he would have been CB1 in most drafts outside of last year, and even then, you know, probably would have gone ahead of Will Johnson since he did have the injury. I think he's a guy that you really just can't miss on. I mean, even if you want to draft him in the 2nd or 3rd round, that's fine, but like having him fall out of the top 3 is just absurd to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that we go there, but my hot take, what we'll do is the SEC will win another college baseball national title. I know all the talk right now is about UCLA, you have North Carolina, you have Georgia Tech, but I feel like someone still in the SEC can win one. If it's Texas, Georgia, any of these top 10 teams, Texas A&M even, I feel like can make a push, and I think that one of those teams can win one in Omaha.
No. I'm going to say no on this. As an SEC homer myself, I'll admit it, they're not beating either UCLA or Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was my preseason national champion, and watching them in person this past weekend, seeing that offense, they're lethal top to bottom. I mean, they're averaging 11 runs per game. And early in the season when you're doing that, it kind of is what it is because you're playing non-conference. But in a loaded ACC, whenever you're able to score 11 runs per game this late into the year, plus they have just enough pitching to hold teams to 5 or 6 runs, they're going to be a really tough out. And then you look at UCLA, who might be, even though Georgia Tech has the better offense, UCLA might be the most complete team in the country. I love me some SEC. I think they've got some good teams with Texas, even Arkansas, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama. But those teams on the team on the West Coast and the team on the East, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I could see it happening. SEC, they've won 6 straight championships, so when these teams get into championship time, it's crunch time. They win. But obviously, as you said, there's a lot of good teams elsewhere, so we'll see how it ends up.
Well, I still think that the SEC still just reigns supreme in terms of college baseball. Maybe not so far at this point up to the point because the SEC has been down. They still have 4 teams in the top 10, 5 in the top 15. I feel like they've kind of beaten each other up over the course of the season, but I feel like one will still come out on top, and with that being the SEC. But guys, we got a little something special for you guys here, and we have a compilation of all the best moments from this season, and hope you guys enjoy this.
We're doing on, yeah.
Power through.
They won't be winning national championships, but they will be a team like a BYU or what Boise was, but obviously at a higher level where you're consistently winning 9-10 games and competing for a CFP spot. Very mid-teens.
Well, I've been handed the glorious buzzer here, so.
Bang. All right. I didn't think he's top 10.
Yeah,
no.
That's absurd.
No.
Bro, okay, the Super Bowl performance is not his fault. Like, you
Get the ball out.
I don't care how good you are.
The great ones make plays.
If you're a mix of Tom Brady with Lamar Jackson's running and your offensive line can't block a teddy bear, you're not going to do anything. His offensive line was garbage. His run game was garbage. His best receiver, Stephon Diggs, is more worried about having drama with Cardi B. I mean, he was set up in a bad situation.
They have the worst strength of schedule, Rob.
That's not his fault. He did what he was supposed to do. Drake
well,
May
if he's that
is a
good,
good
get
quarterback.
the ball out. Get the ball out. Don't get sacked 6 times in the Super Bowl.
Looking at
it ain't wrong.
Looking.
He's an elite athletic director. He made a good hire with Josh Heupel, but even that program is looking stale. Kim Caldwell's gone off the ropes, and he's starting to piss off all the fan base with these random taxes for the talent fee, where it's not going anywhere because they haven't bought any players. So he's slowly going downhill. I don't think he's the guy, but what do you guys think?
This rant sounds awfully familiar. I wonder if you heard it from someone recently.
He's not the guy. Hashtag everything school. Hashtag everything school. There we go.
Broke it.
Hashtag everything school for Danny White.
For 110-mile-an-hour pitch. Like, it's just so much better, you know? Don't hit the button.
Can you imagine? It'd be even better than the greatest of all time.
What?
Because this is the best of all time. It'd be even better than that.
Okay.
What are you talking? What are you?
What?
This just didn't make sense.
I don't know, but this is the best of all time, and you guys are tripping if you think otherwise. If you had to pick a commissioner, I'll give you 3 options. Nick Saban, Josh Pate, Jace Vincent. Who are you choosing?
I gotta pick Jace. I gotta pick Jace because anytime some 38-year-old is like, no, I need my COVID year, he's just gonna say no, and then it's over. It's done.
Today's opposite day, by the way.
How?
Because it's a Tuesday. It's 2-Whistle Tuesday.
It's not Tuesday.
Oh, it's Monday. I don't know. My days are messed up. I'm just going day by day.
This still be recorded, by the way.
Man, what a season it's been here with the crew. Thank you to Drew, who's been able to be part of the action, Connor over here. But we get in now, and it's time for our favorite segment of the week, and it's Connor's question. Connor, one last time, what do you got for us?
Thanks, Jace. For one last time, did the Rams close their Super Bowl window by drafting Ty Simpson? We kind of touched on this earlier in the show. I love Ty Simpson just as a prospect. The pick did not make any sense. I mean, you could have gotten Mekhi Lemon, Dylan Thienemean, so many other guys that could produce next season. I understand where the frustration with Sean McVay is coming in with, because as a coach, you're not looking for the future, you're looking for next season. And again, you've got Matthew Stafford, who is without a doubt first ballot Hall of Famer for the next 1 to 2 years max. Why not go get someone that will help him next year and maybe even the year after that to win a potential Super Bowl?
You want to tackle it first, or you want me to go?
I'll go first. I kind of go back and forth. Like we said, this draft was very bad. So maybe there's a way that the Rams thought that Ty Simpson was their best player in this class, and they just knew everyone else on the board was going to be a bust for them. But at the same time, I just think taking a swing on a guy like Mekhi Lemon or even Ruben Bain, who was on the board at that point, just build an insane defensive line would have been a better pick than Ty Simpson.
I agree. I think that they should have gone with a guy like Mekhi Lemon, as you said, go for someone that can help them offensively to be better versus going for the future, going for a Jordan Love kind of pick here, going for an Aaron Rodgers kind of draft, where I feel like it also didn't really make sense for the Rams, also just to go with a quarterback or take him that high for really anybody to take Ty Simpson that high. And I'm not meaning that to bash Ty Simpson. I think he was a great quarterback. He was easily the second best quarterback this past season as a pure quarterback, but I just think that the pick itself didn't make any sense.
Yeah, another thing about it is the Rams this offseason kind of been going all in on a Super Bowl. They brought Matthew Stafford back on a new contract. They traded the 29th pick for Trent McDuffie to the Chiefs. They've been going all in on this season, and then they go out and draft a quarterback with the 13th pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily understand it, especially with going at 13, because Ty Simpson, he was a mock first-round draft pick, but later on in the round, maybe early second. And when you look at who was picking, no one was really quarterback needy, and the ones that were already either got their guy or have a rookie, younger guy that they're going to develop with. So that they could have easily traded up in the back of the first round or even with the second round pick and taken Ty Simpson. But in terms of them taking him versus like a Mekhi Lemon, do you guys think it kind of closes their championship window with other teams improving in their division?
I would say, I don't mean to cut you off, but I would say they're still sitting fine. I still think that they're behind Seattle. I think that they're easily ahead of Arizona, and I think that it's kind of neck and neck with them in San Francisco in terms of who's going to get that second spot and be a wild card team in the NFC.
I think San Francisco had an infinitely worse draft than the Rams, even though they both had bad drafts. So I think that the Rams, they can still be contenders at this point. They, it sucks that they went with that pick, man.
That's one thing that's completely off topic from what we're talking about here is the 49ers had, you look at all the wide receivers that were drafted.
Dejon Stribling in the second.
I mean, I like Dejon Stribling as a wide receiver from Ole Miss, but the pick itself didn't make any sense, honestly. But the 49ers also took other receivers that may have not been as highly rated.
Yeah. Something else I want to add about the Ty Simpson thing. I'm sure you guys have been seeing on social media with Dan Orlovsky just absolutely glazing this man.
Absolutely.
As a Bama fan myself, he's glazing more than I could possibly imagine. But he said something where it was like, 52 receptions and 4 touchdowns, assuming that's what Mekhi Lemon would produce, is not going to put them closer to a championship. Yes, it would.
It would.
You had that plus your wide receiver 1 in Puka. You've got a good Devontae Adams. That would have absolutely helped that.
Yeah. Dan Orlovsky was a good quarterback in the NFL, right? His opinion really matters.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'll wrap it up for Connor's question. And on the other side, we'll have our final segment, which will be our picks for the week and one last send-off to this season.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I can't believe I'm missing this. Okay, Grandma. I see you.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu. A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. It keeps you, your community, and loved ones protected. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
It's now time for our final segment of the week, our picks for the week. And we'll start things off with Tennessee and Kentucky in college baseball in Lexington.
Tennessee is the better team on paper, just in general. They have more talent, but it's in Lexington, and I think my two guys, the Tylers, Tyler Bell and Tyler Cerny, will go off against the Volunteers. So give me Kentucky to take 2 of 3 because it would just make sense for Tennessee to have a letdown after a big series win.
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite direction. I think that they're running hot right now. I think they can get it done if they keep doing what they did last week against Alabama. So I'm taking Tennessee in this game.
I will also lean Tennessee to go 2 out of 3 in Lexington. Our next game, sticking to college baseball, is MTSU hosting Western Kentucky.
Yeah, 100 miles of hate, big-time rivalry. You've got 2 schools that are kind of struggling this year in baseball, not doing quite as well as what they hoped for in the preseason. But it is at home. Middle Tennessee is 19-7 at home, so give me the Blue Raiders to take 2 of 3.
Yeah, both teams are kind of similar on paper right now. They both have similar records in and out of the conference. So if I had to guess, I'm going to go MTSU here. 100 miles of hate. Be a good game, guys.
Well, you know how I lean here. I got to go MTSU.
Clean sweep?
No, I'm going to go clean sweep. But I'll go 2 out of 3. I will lean the Blue Raiders. But just one final send-off, guys. For me and Connor, it's been a long ride. We've been here, this is 4 or 5 seasons?
Something like that.
Now here. So we made the long journey. We're UNC status. We're about to graduate here in like 2 weeks. It's an emotional ride as well, so not making it about us, but the show wouldn't be what it is without our crew here, without Drew here, who's done all the work behind the scenes, without all the camera people back here. Shout out you guys and all the engineers over here that don't get noticed for all the work. So for one final time, I'm Jace Vincent for Connor Smith and Drew Williams, all of our people. Have a great rest of your day.